Hey, it's Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD. In my over 30 years of medical practice, I've made it my goal to help you create a great life by achieving a strong mind, a healthy body, and an unshakable spirit. Today, I want to talk to you about salt, right? We've heard it. I know when I was in medical school years and years ago, salt was always at the center point of our attention to high blood pressure. We always would recommend, or learned that we should recommend when we became doctors, that we should educate people to decrease their salt intake because that in turn would lower their blood pressure. And the recommendations for salt has gone up and down for a maximum or the recommended daily allowance of salt. And there's people who have high blood pressure, who have heart failure, or other conditions. It would be that you would restrict somebody to no more than 2,000 milligrams a day, which was considered a low salt diet. And when you look at labels, you'll see that quickly adds up because there are certain foods that have per serving 1,000 milligrams. So what does salt do in our body? Okay, what is it? It tastes. We're kind of programmed to like the taste of salt, sweet and salty foods, right? So there's a reason for that, and that's because salt, through, you may have remembered from high school biology, or maybe not, I'll help you remember, through osmosis. So if you have salt inside your blood vessel, what that does is it brings in fluid into the blood vessel. It will retain fluid, if you will. So when you see somebody who has swollen ankles, or if you have swollen ankles and you're thinking that you might have fluid retention, well, yes, because somehow your body is holding on to more fluid. And that's what salt does in our system. We need salt or sodium. Salt or is sodium chloride, but the sodium part, the sodium chloride part we need, but the sodium itself, the Na in the NaCl or sodium chloride, is something that our body needs for general routine functions, for the electrical system, our nervous system, electrical system in our heart. Those are things that are very tightly regulated by especially our kidneys. But when we take in, let's say, too much salt, it might mean that our body will hold on to too much fluid, and it might overwhelm our kidneys, and our kidneys won't be able to get rid of that fluid, and we could retain too much fluid. It might stretch our blood vessels or put strain on the heart, so the pressure inside the heart goes and our blood vessels goes up. But we have seen, though, through science and research, that certain people are salt sensitive. Certain people are more prone to for their blood pressure to go up when they take salt, and some people have no effect. But let's see what Michael Strahan, one of my favorite ex-football giants on Good Morning America, has to say about the new FDA's recommendations for salt intake.
Guidelines just released by the FDA on salt. The FDA is suggesting the voluntary reduction of sodium in the food we consume, and they're even proposing changes for restaurants, manufacturers, cafeterias, and food trucks. Dr. Jen Ashton is here with more. And Doc, what are the new recommendations, and why is salt so harmful?
Well, so, Michael, here they are. They're just out from the FDA, and the FDA commissioner hopefully saying that this could be the biggest, most important intervention in a generation for public health. The new guidance from the FDA really targeting the food industry here, making the goal long-term 2,300 milligrams a day to about 3,000 milligrams a day, within that range. Right now, it is clear that diet is a major contributing factor to not only our obesity, but high blood pressure, which of course then increases the risk for heart attack, stroke, kidney failures.
But what she's not saying is that this is not a cross the board. There are some people who that sodium doesn't affect their blood pressure. There's a lot of research on that. So to say this is the most sweeping interventions in a lifetime, I mean it's kind of absurd, honestly. This is not anything new. Like I said, I graduated medical school many, many, many years ago. We were talking about sodium then. This is nothing new under the sun. This is nothing, no new. And now the government is going to put restrictions on this. I mean, I think we have to leave it up to individuals, right? Don't we have individual rights? Don't we have individual choice? But a lot of us make the wrong choices. So do we need the government to help us make those choices? I don't know. You let me know. What do you think? And while you're at it, hit the little bells to get notified when I do post a new video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. But let me know what you think about this. I think as individuals, we have to make right choices. And I don't know that we need the government to make these sweeping changes to help us make those. Maybe we do. Maybe some of us do. But let's hear what else he has to say.
So this is a major target for public health intervention.
And you also have a degree in nutrition. What else can we?
I have to say public health. See, now under the guide of public health, we have seen so many problems with this. When you start labeling interventions that is for public health, that opens the door. It releases the government to be able to put on edicts and orders under the guise of public health and public safety. All it does is increases the control that these government agencies are going to have on our life. Public health is a buzzword, and I'm not going to mention what we all know as the public health emergency that we've all faced in the last 2 years. I'm not mentioning it because if I mention it, the algorithm of this platform, YouTube, will cancel me. Will cancel this video because it's happened with I've recorded, which you haven't been able to see, totally unrelated videos, completely unrelated videos to the current pandemic, and I've been those and I've mentioned it, or I mentioned the V word, VACCINE, and just because I mentioned it in the video, it was taken down because I violated the platform's rules. So anyway, let's listen. The public health, again, is a buzzword, and it's dangerous. Let's hear what else she has to say.
We do in our diet to help?
Well, I think, first of all, there's a lot of attention on sodium, and for good reason. But I think for people wanting to take charge of this themselves, they can start doing this. They don't have to wait for the food industry to intervene. So they should read labels for sure, because there is a lot of hidden sodium in almost everything we consume. Use spices in place of salt. That can definitely help. And then people focus on the sodium, but if you also focus on potassium-rich foods, increasing the consumption of that, you can lower your blood pressure by anywhere from 3 to 5 points.
Yes, that's great advice, actually, because it just turns out that people who have unhealthy diets also consume a lot of foods, a lot of processed foods, which tend to have more salt in them. So she's right. Read the labels. Increasing potassium, but not taking potassium pills, but increasing foods that are rich in potassium, and even things like, I think it's Mr. Dash or Mrs. Dash, I forgot the salt substitute that's out there, and that has potassium in the place of sodium. So yeah, that is good advice, because again, it's the salt itself isn't directly related to obesity, but those foods that are rich in salt tend to lead to poor health lifestyles and poor eating habits.
Great tips. I know a lot of people just put salt on the food
without even thinking about it.
Yeah, without even thinking about it. Doc, thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah, because there's already so much in it to begin with.
It's in things like chicken, bread, everything.
Yeah, thank you both.
You bet.
Okay, so not bad advice, I would say, overall. But again, it's what I'm concerned about.
Some sense of normalcy, because it's been less than a decade.
This one, okay. What I'm concerned about is public health labeling, and that gives the permission for the FDA and the government to put on restrictive guidelines on all sorts of industries, more regulations, and it's not recognizing that individuals are the ones who are making the choices, and we have to make a decision whether we want the government making those decisions for us or we want to take control. And that's a big responsibility, and that's a responsibility on us. If we're going to have healthy lifestyles, it's up to us. But if we don't take that responsibility, then it's going to unleash the government to try to do it for us. And I don't think that's a good idea. Let me know what you think. So until next time, I'm Dr. Charles, a.k.a. CoachMD, encouraging you to stay strong in mind, and that means critical thinking. Evaluate what you're being told in body and in soul. So we have control, and you can take control of your mind and your body by eating well and making the right choices. But the soul component, what's right in here in your heart? What's your intentions for others and yourself to make this a better world, a better place to live? Bye for now.